Deep in the rainforest, high up in the canopy where the trees are thick and the vines are high, lived a little squirrel named Zippy. Now, Zippy was a very curious squirrel. He loved asking questions about everything he saw around him. One day, Zippy was playing with his best friend, a sloth named Slow-Mo, when they came across a strange-looking fruit. "Hey, Slow-Mo," said Zippy. "What's that?" "These will help ripen the fruits," it explained. "It's ready." Zippy picked the shiniest fruit he could find and took a big bite. It tasted sweet and sour and tingly all at the same time. Then suddenly, Zippy felt funny. He felt lighter somehow, as though gravity didn't apply to him anymore. "Why isn't my wish coming true? I wanted to float like this forever." "My wish is to be the tiniest squirrel in the forest." Suddenly, Zippy felt himself shrinking. "Look, Slow-Mo, I'm getting smaller." In a few moments, he was the smallest squirrel in the forest, even smaller than the baby squirrels. And yet somehow he could still float. "Oh, this is wonderful," he cried out. "Oh, I get it now," he said. He was so happy to be himself again. And even though he no longer had the ability to float, he knew that being small had its own advantages. If you liked it, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you want to join our nutty family, hit subscribe so you never miss out on new stories. See you next time. From that day on, whenever Zippy saw a blue morpha butterfly, he remembered the magical adventure and the importance of being careful what you wish for. "I didn't want to be the tiniest squirrel in the forest. I just wanted to be able to fit in my house again." The butterfly smiled. "So you won't mind if I use this flower to make your wish go back to normal?" "Of course," said Zippy. "Thank you." And with that, the butterfly sprinkled some flower dust on him and waved her magic wings. He zoomed around Slow-Mo in circles and then shot off into the sky. "See you later, Slow-Mo," he called out as he floated away. "Have fun, Zippy," Slow-Mo replied with a smile. Just then, Slow-Mo climbed up beside him. "Are you okay, Zippy?" he asked. It had watched Zippy and was very concerned. "Why, isn't his wish coming true?" it wondered. When a wish goes wrong, it's because you have made your wish without thinking about the consequences. That's why it's important to be careful what you wish for. "But what can I do to fix it?" asked the butterfly. "You need to find the tiniest flower in the forest," said Old Man Turtle. "If you bring it to Zippy, he will get his old life back." The butterfly thanked Old Man Turtle and set off in search of the tiniest flower. She looked everywhere, under leaves and inside tree bark, but she couldn't find a flower smaller than the petals of a mushroom. It thought and thought, then decided to ask the wisest creature in the forest, Old Man Turtle. The butterfly flew down to the riverbank and asked if Old Man Turtle could help her. She explained about Zippy and his wish, and Old Man Turtle listened patiently. Zippy explained about his wish and how it wasn't working. "Well, that's odd," said Slow-Mo. "Did you bring me another magic fruit?" he asked. "Actually, I'm here because Old Man Turtle has sent me on a mission," the butterfly replied. He says you have to get smaller to be happy. Zippy laughed. But I am happy, he said. Being tiny is so much fun. Why would I want to be big again? Well, I'm afraid you don't get to choose, said the butterfly. Then she showed Zippy the tiniest flower she could find. Usually when someone eats a fruit from the wishing tree, their wish comes true immediately. Do you know why it might not be working for me? Asked Zippy. Slow-Mo thought for a moment. You've always been so little compared to everyone else, he said. Maybe your wish is to be as little as possible. Oh, I never thought of that, said Zippy. He thought back to when he had eaten the fruit. He did remember thinking how nice it would be to be able to float around without having to worry about bumping into things or being too heavy to climb trees. And then he started floating. Whoa, he cried out. This must be a dream, he thought. He tried to grab onto a branch, but his paws just went right through it. Then it tied the bunch to the tree with some vines and told them to come back the following morning to collect it. He floated and floated until he came to a stop outside of his home. As he descended slowly towards his home, he realized something. He had changed. When he had wished to float, he hadn't thought about anything else. But now, as he looked down at his tiny house, he realized he wasn't the same curious little squirrel that had set off that morning. Now he was bigger, taller than even Mama Tree, the tallest tree in the forest. He was so big, in fact, that he couldn't fit inside his house anymore. When they returned the next day, the fruit was still not quite ready. Zippy, my darling, you're home, she cried out, but you're not yourself. Zippy tried to speak, but all that came out was a squeak. He tried to explain that he had eaten the mysterious fruit, but his mom couldn't understand him. She thought maybe he was sick, so she invited him to stay with them in their house. But after a while, she started to get worried. Zippy was still too big to enter the house, and he was getting weaker and weaker. So the butterfly set up camp nearby and decided to wait with them until it was perfect. They spent the afternoon playing games and chatting while they waited. And finally, as the sun began to set, the butterfly declared it was time. Said Slow-Mo, who was always slow to answer because, well, he was a sloth. That is a mystery fruit. I haven't seen it before. Oh, we have to find out what it does, said Zippy excitedly. But before they could investigate further, a blue morpha butterfly landed on the fruit. That's an interesting-looking fruit indeed, said the butterfly. Do you want to know what it does? If you follow me, I'll show you. And with that, the butterfly fluttered away. Zippy and Slow-Mo looked at each other. Well, this is exciting, said Slow-Mo. Let's go see what the butterfly has found. As they made their way through the trees, the butterfly led them deeper and deeper into the rainforest. Finally, it landed on a branch and motioned for them to come closer. Here we are, said the butterfly. This is the wishing tree. The fruit you saw grows on this tree, and if you eat one, you get to make a wish. Wow, said Zippy. He had never heard of such a thing. A magic fruit, he said. I can't believe it. I don't suppose you have any idea how your wish will be fulfilled, do you? Asked Slow-Mo. The butterfly shook its head. No, but that's half the fun of making a wish. You never know what might happen. Zippy thought about this for a moment. Well, I'd like to try a magic fruit if it's not too late. Not at all, said the butterfly. But remember, once you make your wish, there's no turning back. You have to be absolutely sure. Zippy nodded. Then let's get started. The butterfly flew off and returned with a small bunch of unripe bananas and some juicy mangoes. Here we are, she said, motioning to the fruit, which now glistened with an ethereal glow. Zippy drifted over the rainforest, over the tall trees and past the clouds. Just then, his mom came out of the house carrying a basket of nuts. I don't understand, he thought. I think you're right, Slow-Mo, said Zippy. My wish isn't to be able to float. Meanwhile, the blue morpha butterfly had returned to the wishing tree. He said at last. I believe I know what's happening. Suddenly, she heard a familiar giggle. There you are, Zippy, she called out. Zippy swooped down from above and hovered beside her. Zippy looked at the flower and suddenly remembered the reason he had wished to be tiny in the first place. In a flash of light, Zippy was back to his normal size. The end. Hey there, nutty friends. Thanks for watching today's adventure.